I'm Jay Horton. I make movies that make money, and this is Filmmakers On. Today, I'm talking to author and filmmaker T Styles. How's it going, Toy?
It's going great. Hello.
Nice to see you. So, your pen name is T Styles. That's what you go by as an author. Do you put that when you
Yeah.
direct as well?
No, I definitely want people to know it's me when I direct.
Okay, so it's
There was a reason behind the T Styles.
okay. Well, let's get into that first. What's the reason?
Okay, so when I came out under what's called as urban fiction, and I had done some research, and at that time I heard that women tend to gravitate more to male authors. So I didn't
Mm,
want anybody to know if I was male or female, and so I gave the name T Styles,
that's smart. Okay,
and it
I get
worked.
it. That's funny. So I do Jay Horton, and I do it because there's a YouTube comedian named Jason Horton,
Wow.
and he got really popular right around the time I started to direct more movies. So like we would always get mistaken for each other, and like his agent would get calls from people trying to audition for my movies.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. So I ended up changing it to Jay.
And we've
That's
been playing on your name the whole time. I'm so sorry. I'm showing my age. You remember that was I think it was a book, Horton Hears a Who?
yep, yeah. Dr. Seuss. Yep, know it well.
I can't get it out my head. I'm showing my age, but hey.
Awesome. So let's start with the authoring, with the writing. So
Okay.
how long have you been in it now?
Okay, so I've been writing. My very first book was called Rainbow Heart, and I started in 2005. And
Wow.
that was a self-published book. And then what ended up happening was it was a self-published book based off a journal that I had kept. I suffered from depression and really, really deeply, suicide attempts and everything when
Mm,
I was younger. And that book was a way for me to just compose some of the things that I was feeling at the time. And what ended up happening though, once I published that book, I found out that there was this company called Triple Crown Publications. And they were the urban fiction publishing house, like Bad Boy Records. It was that level of success. And I submitted them an idea for a book that I hadn't written, but a book idea that I just had. And they said, we want to read the book, give it to us. And I had just gotten fired. So I had wrote that, which is called A Hustler's Son, which I'm filming right now. And
nice.
I got the deal in 2006. And then I also wrote a book called Black and Ugly about a young lady who is dark skinned. She believes she's unattractive. Actually, she is. It was an incendiary title, but I wrote that and The Hustler's Son in 2 weeks and got my very first book deal. And then
Wow.
I've been writing full time ever since. And then, of course, I'll tell you about the Academy of Motion Pictures and how that tied in later.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So have you predominantly done published your works through publishers throughout your career? Have you dabbled in self-publishing?
So what happened was when I was with Triple Crown Publications, I had a really successful career there. Sold millions, books, Essence magazine, all of those accolades, I won them. And then something happened towards the end. There were some situations going on with the publisher, and she signed me to do a deal. She took the deal back. But what she said to me, Jason, is what changed my life. She said, if you believe in yourself so much, put your own money where your mouth is. And
Yeah.
when she said that, I was like, you know what? She's right. Because I write so quick. Like, I can write a book in 2 weeks. So I was like, okay, let me put my own money where my mouth is. And I started the Cartel Publications in 2008. And
Mm.
from that point on up until now, I have not had to write or work for any other company. I'm full-time novelist first. And then that's how I fund my movies.
Right. I love that. I love that entrepreneur spirit. Like you went out, you put your money where your mouth is, you do your own work, you're not answering to anyone.
No,
Yeah,
no.
that's great. That's
It
great.
was
So
painful when it happened because somebody that
yeah,
I really looked up to, but yeah,
yeah, yeah. That was a blessing in disguise.
it
That's
was.
funny. We've actually, I started making movies. I sold my first one in 2005. So it's
Wow.
right around the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So when did you decide to, make I wouldn't call it a pivot because you're still writing, but when did you decide to start moving into movies?
So we were doing so well with publishing our own books to the point where number one, we opened up a bookstore in Eastover Shopping Center, like in the Washington D.C. area. It's like literally on the line. And we were doing so well. We were like, you know, well, let's do something else, because I'd always had visions of doing movies, but I didn't really know how. So we decided to do it right there. I think it was only 2010. We hadn't been in the game that long. My wife gave me all my points because I had no idea. She know I'm terrible with dates. But I think it was in 2010 is when we did our very first one. But we had no idea what we were doing. It was awful. Sound, shots. It's like and because we were so successful with urban fiction, and we didn't know we were doing either. I didn't go to school for it. I got a 9th grade education, but I taught myself. We said, okay, we can do the same thing with this.
Yeah.
But it took me a while to really get my flow. And that was the very first time, 2010, we did our very first one, Pickles in the Skirt.
Damn, that's awesome. Did you get that one distributed or put it out, or like how did you?
What happened with that was we put it out on YouTube. There was this big craze within Black cinema, Black, YouTube, where shows were the big thing. So we divided the movie up into a show, and we also made it available online. And it sat there for the longest time doing really nothing at all. It sat there for the longest doing nothing. I'll tell you what happened, but you had everything to do with it. But it sat there for the longest. And then we just started doing like little shows. We would put them up on YouTube. And to be honest, I had forgotten all about them until something else happened in my life. And then things changed.
Yeah. Did you make so like what was the next thing? Did you keep making movies, like kind of progress?
So after Pickles in the Skirt, we did another one called The Worst of Us 1 and 2, and that was supposed to be the same concept, little 10-15 minute segments that we would upload to YouTube. And then we were just doing them. Like, it wasn't like we were getting any money for them at that point. Maybe getting a couple $100 if that. We were just putting the things up there. And then what ended up happening was I was starting to reach a period where I wasn't sure if I could write to the level that I was writing. So I really immersed myself into screenwriting. And I picked up Save the Cat. I picked up all the books that you can think of, a story. I read all of those books. And then I started submitting my screenplays to the Nickel Fellowship, which is the screenplay hosted by the Academy of Motion Pictures, Arts and Sciences.
Yeah.
And they gave me the finalists. You're talking about out of 3,000 of people, I was top 6. My face is on the Oscars website and everything. I was top 6 out of all of these people for my screenplay, Concrete Beach. Now that one, Jason, I'm holding because they have a tendency to really get back to people. They have a tendency to support us when we finalists put our movies out that were on. So once I get the right investors, I'm going to really do that one. But that happened, but I was so heartbroken because I didn't get it. I reached all the way to top 6 and I didn't get it. And that was the most painful thing in my life. So I just say forget everything. I had Pipples up there. I had Worst of Us 1 and 2 up there. I had It'll Cost You up there. That I did the same thing, looking at my list. So I had all those movies sitting on YouTube. And then I was heartbroken. I said, I'm walking away from movies. I had a friend of mine. Her name is Tressa Smallwood. She is the woman in BET right now, BET Plus, all of the stuff. I mean, she is out here.
Nice.
And she said, Toy, she actually hit me up to run one of her writing classes, to invite me to talk to her students for her writing classes. But then after that, she said, Toy, what are you doing with your movies? Are you still making movies? And I was like, not really. And she said, okay, well, I think you really should. So I ended up getting back in it, wrote another screenplay. And then I'm like, I got all these other things sitting on YouTube. I don't know what to do with them, because she's a distributor.
Yeah.
So I allowed her to do that film that we did last year. It went up in December, but I allowed her and her distributing company to distribute that. But I got all this stuff, Jason, sitting over on YouTube.
Right.
I'm like, what am I going to do with it? And I'm searching, and then I found you. And sir, I know you don't want to hear, because I know you get embarrassed. I follow you. But the things you do for our community and for us, you are God sent. And I just went through all of your YouTube videos, found out how to do FilmHUB, looked at your things and how to upload it. And it just has not been the same. Based off of that, I'm able to, really start doing what it is I want to do. So that's that's how I'm here. I'm cutting this fan back on real quick. I don't want you to
Yeah.
think I'm going out the thing.
No, that's
Yes.
fine. You know, I honestly do like to hear that. I love that people can, man, like they can take a thing and think they're done with it, you know, and completely like reinvigorate
Yes.
what they're doing with it. I mean, that's the whole reason I started the channel, was because, you know, when I was coming up, you know, nobody was talking about
Yes.
this stuff, you know, and here we are, you know, ninth grade education, barely a high school education.
Yeah.
You know, I did end up going to college later, but it
Right.
was like still like like you don't have to be like, you know, film school grad. We don't have to be
No.
from like tons of money. Like
No.
we can make these things work.
I mean, the material is out there. Like, if you really, like I was saying, when I had to go back, because I was writing books so quickly and I had major success with these books, I was getting afraid, and I was able to look at YouTube and get all of this knowledge and find the right books and really teach myself to the level where the Academy of Motion Pictures Arts and Sciences saying she is excellent. It wasn't even just that screenplay. It was so many of them that led like in the top 100, top 50. And I was like, they think I can write. But I learned all of that from, you know, YouTube and
Yeah.
applying myself. So you're right. You don't have to have an education, but you do have to have the drive to do it. And that's what most people fail.
Yeah. I guess it's kind of I used the wrong turn of phrase, because like we are actually getting an education. It's just not
Right.
a formal education. But
Right.
you know, if you actually like break down the time that we've spent, you know, digesting YouTube material and studying it, we probably got our masters. You
I
know?
think so. They need to be calling us doctor at this point.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. What were some of the initial challenges, like creatively, like moving from novels to film?
Not knowing what we were doing. So there was something, I forget, there was a show, a movie called The Blacklist, not to be confused with the screen writing one.
Yeah, the
But
TV show.
it was a movie, and they
Oh,
had
okay.
a bunch of people on there, and they were talking about different levels of their success. And I was one of the Wayans, and I believe he said that their ignorance was the thing that really led them to their success. The fact that they did not know what they were doing. And I think that if I would have paid attention to, okay, you need all of these cameras, or you need this, you need that, then I would not be making the money that we're making off of these old movies. I wouldn't have stepped out, you know, and I wouldn't have learned to grow too. So I think that was the biggest thing, not really understanding what we were doing, and then not marketing myself. You know, I've learned that recently, how important that is.
Yeah. Like, did you early on, like as a writer, did you have to get in there and like do a lot of the marketing, or was
No.
that pretty much handled for you at first?
Because when I came up with Triple Crown, once I got the success for my 2 books, and then I wrote a really popular book that sold millions, Shit List, SHYT. We had to make sure we spell it like that. Urban fiction has really incendiary titles, but that's how we talk. Once I had so much success, then my fan base grew, and it is still a big fan base to this day. So I didn't have to do that, but and so I thought the same thing would apply with the movies.
Right. Yeah.
And it's not the same thing, you know.
Right.
It's a whole different thing. Readers don't always, which trip me out, watch movies.
Yeah.
They prefer their books. I'm like, dang it. So I had to learn how to do that now.
Yeah, that's what's been the biggest challenge in doing the marketing for you?
I found out that because I come from a writing background, and we have rehearsals, you know, I have a whole process that I do for my movies. I'm 8 in. I think this is my 9th one. My 9th one with I'm Home, and we're filming again. It'll be my 10th.
Nice.
Because I come from a writer background, and I'm actually writing my screenplays, it makes it easier to take snippets out of that and then make good reels.
Yeah.
So the reels are what really is helping me. There are thousands of people that'll, you know, share reels across my platforms because of what's being said. And that is, again, how God gets in front of you. And then, you know, I'm thinking to myself, you know, my stuff ain't, you know, it has the elements of Black cinema, the urban violence, grit, which is what we grew up from, but it's written like a lot of stuff is like Shakespeare. Like I'm a big fan of David Simon, The Wire, so I like my characters to speak a certain way and say things, and so those reels are translating to viewers. They'll see it, like, what she say, and they're sharing it. And I think that's what
Wow.
saved me.
And with your reels, like you're finding like this out of context stuff that makes
Yeah,
some sense within a 15 or 20
it can
second
make
thing.
sense by itself. Or for instance, there was one part in one of my shows, one of my movies, Be More Chicks, where the actor is saying, you know, if a man, if you get with a dude and he's not giving you anything or nothing, then he's going to be the reason you have nothing. So whether you
Mm.
saw the movie or not, people
That
can relate to
resonates.
that.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's really smart. And with reels and shorter form stuff, what platforms have you found like more traction on?
Because of how good we're doing, I have no idea. What I do is I don't know which ones are doing. Like, it's at this point, it's really God, like really getting in the mix now. I get up in the morning and I have a process that I do. The first thing I do is I make sure that I post to Instagram, a reel to Instagram. I post a reel to my Facebook personal page, my 2 other pages, my Cartel Urban Cinema page, and then my book page. And
Right.
then I also do YouTube. I make sure that I put something on YouTube in the community page every day.
Okay.
And then I do TikTok when I do post a reel to the other ones. I do that at least 5 to 6 days a week.
Okay. Like first thing you do that, and then you
right
kind
before
of
I get out of bed.
right, and then let it go.
Yep. And then I'm done for the day. That takes me. I do that. That's not the very first thing. I meditate first,
Yeah.
pray, and then I got the little tracker of things I have to do. And so I think I saw how the consistency translated in how well the movie does. And it's being consistent. YouTube, not YouTube per se, I'll say Instagram and Facebook, they tend to push people who are uploading video content on a regular basis.
Yeah.
And so that's what I do. Now it's hard, Jason, because it's urban fiction, and you know, you got to take out the N word. You got to, you know, take out, it's like stuff that goes good based off of our culture. And these are things we say, or the more curse word is not flying on these platforms. So you got to edit your thing out to make it work. But it still is working.
And that's great. Are you using text too as well with it, or do you let it go just visual, or sometimes?
So I found that once I do put the captions on it, that it does work.
Okay.
So I like to upload the video to Instagram and use their captions and then download it.
Right.
And now I got that without having the TikTok thing on it, all of that. I got the caption saved, and I can run around the internets with that caption saved video, and I'm good.
Interesting. So you're done 10 movies now. That's great. And I was just
it'll be 10. We're filming now, so we have 9 out, and then 10 is coming up.
Yeah, I was just looking at you had posted a reel for one just yesterday, and I was like really taken with the visuals of it. It had a slightly green hue to it. It was really stylistic. It looked great. Like the quality looked good. Yeah. So like, how do you go about putting together your crews?
So how I put together my crew is at this point, because of Tubi, we used to have such a hard time finding people, and to the point where I would have to work with people so much that it would take long to get them to fit the roles. Now, once I put a casting call, I say I'm doing a casting and I put it across all of my platforms. And because of the Tubi audience that I've created or found, they come to me. Once they see the casting call, they'll respond, they say we're with it. And then there are the people we worked with before. We tend to work good with those. So based off of that, I get way more than enough. Like this last casting call was so big, I was like, looked at my spouse and I was like, things are changing now.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just, we had a lot of people.
Yeah. Let's actually talk a little bit about the Tubi explosion. I mean, in the last probably 3 years, there's been a huge explosion of Black cinema on Tubi, really popular. Why do you think that has happened?
So I want to speak a lot to that. I know there are a lot of people who are like frustrated with it, and some of our biggest critics are people who say, it's not really filmed right, it's no really good acting and all of that. But I can tell you exactly what's going on. What's happening is just like it was with urban fiction.
Mm.
When we came out, when urban fiction became a big thing, before that, you just had the Terry McMillans, some of the other great writers, but their stories and their experiences didn't really mirror our stories and our experiences.
Right.
So when urban fiction came out and you got the urban fiction that's matching the music, which is also popular, and the vernacular and how we talk, it made us feel like we're home. And with Black people in general, we like the familiar. You know, we like to be able to see ourselves. And I know that there are a lot of companies coming out and they like trying to do it. We can sniff that out. Like if it's not real, you can come out with a million different movies. They already do it. It's not going to work. We can sniff it out. This is not authentic. They don't have enough swag. So with our books, just like how the books were exploding, the same thing is with Tubi. You know, you're seeing people that you know around the corner, or people who you may want to be friends with, or somebody that looks like your cousin, you know, and you get to see the city that you grew up in. And so it's exploding because once again, there's such a push to make sure that it's not urban hood movies, that base is feeling like they can't see themselves. Do we need work? Yes, we should be working on ourselves. Just like how I came out, had a 9th grade education, but I taught myself how to write. I got all the books to the point where I reached very high levels of success with my writing. The same thing is going to happen with the movies, but we are starting. You know, my first movie doesn't look anything like I'm Home. A whole different look, great sound, everything.
Right.
So I think we see ourselves and it's real. And we like that. Yeah. And they just mad about it. Like, stop being mad about it.
Yeah. When you say that people are mad about it, like other filmmakers, like, or
I mean, just like I see a lot where they're like, you know, it's all this Black, you know, ghetto violent stuff. That's our horror. Let's just say that. Like the hood movies, that's our horror. That's scary to us.
Yeah.
Some of the things that can occur. And if you think about it like that, to me, it makes sense. Nobody says anything about the horror. You know, they don't say that's too violent. And I love me some horror, by the way. But nobody says that. So then why are you keep, you know, messing with us about what it is that we do, you know? So we do have to get better, though, because there's going to come a point where the cream going to rise to the top and everything else going to fall off.
Yeah.
But all they're going to do is create another platform and we're going to go over there. So
Yeah, totally. I mean, I was talking to somebody about it the other day, and I was like, you know, you have a group of people that have not like seen themselves represented in a real way in mainstream cinema, like at all, especially when you're talking about like female-led stuff, you know, like older women. You're talking about people from a lower socioeconomic backgrounds. You don't see that at AMC. I mean, there's 25 movies at my AMC right now, and there's not one, you know. So like people will take, you know, people, when people want something, need something, they will take it. And if there are some lower quality movies on Tubi, it's not even the point. Like, you know, you know, it's just, we want to see that. I mean, sure, we would like it if more people were making them better, but if they're not going to do it, we're going to do it ourselves, and however, by any means necessary.
Exactly. And now is the time to step up the game. One of the things that I want to see more of is writing. I did what you did on my YouTube channel. I spent so much time. I have so many videos out about how to write a book, you know, the importance of, you know, story structure. I put it out there because I want us to get to that, but I'm patient with us, because if I started with my very first book was like See Dog Jump, See Kate Run. It was bad. But you pick up that and you pick up my War Saga, which, oh my God, it's night and day. So we have the ability to transform, and we just need to make sure that we are doing it. But be as ratchet as you want, be as hood as you want, put your movies out, get your movies done, and learn. You know, that's what we should be doing. Learn. Don't not pick your camera up, learn. That goes for everybody, not even just Black cinema. If you are out there, you know, and you want to tell your story, tell your story. Somebody out there is feeling you, and then market it. We don't do no marketing. We do these movies and we think people are gonna watch them. No. No.
That's why I just interviewed Devin Bray a couple months ago. He did PP Loan. And I mean, he's a hustler. Like he is out there. He's
the other part of you, because you gave me the how to, and then his back his group. I mean, I put that thing on, and I go on there every so often, and they just keep mentioning my movies. Like they'll just keep bringing it up. So I'm so grateful for him too.
Yeah, that group is incredible. I have never in any media, I have never seen such a supportive group. Not of movies, not of books, not of anything. I've never seen anything like it.
And that shows you how hungry we are for that. There's a unique group of people, and there's something that we want to see, and it's the familiarity. You know, like I recognize you, and not always a movie star.
Yeah.
You know, we want to see people that talk like us, act like us. It's a swag that we have, and we want to make sure we see that, and they getting it over there.
And I mean, they're talking about some of those actors like they are movie stars now. I mean, they actually are. And they
made us kings. They made these actors kings, and I'm so grateful for them.
Yeah, it's really incredible to see. Yeah, and I'm glad. And that kind of coincided with you as you were, growing through more movies. When
I tell you, God got all the way in the business. First of all, I meditate every morning, and I visualize how I see my life, and it's been working, because even to the point where I saw myself with the Oscars, and then had the Nickel Fellowship honor me, and then have my face on their site. So I visualize, I pray. And the fact that I'm praying and visualizing, I have this woman who is the top in her game, actively doing movies to a high level, reach out to me right at the time that I needed her. And then you saying, this is the FILMHUB, and then this is how you do it. And then having the group, it's like, when I tell you God is in the mix, I just stay prayed up, continue to help people that I can. And the thing that we have different is I am trying to tap people who wouldn't necessarily have a chance as an actor. I'm working with people who are not experienced at all. And those are the people who I want. Not that I don't want to work with more professional people, but I want to work with those people to show them that this is another thing that you could possibly do if you're interested. And because that's my focus, I think God is helping me even more.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. And I think when we as artists start looking more like outwards as opposed to inwards, like more about like, what can I do for the world as opposed to what can the world do for me? Or, how can I birth, my project? How can my project help? That, like, when I made that switch, maybe 5 or 6 years ago, that's when things started happening for me. As soon as
your life is going to be amazing. Like, I mean, I know you already got great things going on, but I see such big things for you, because it happens for people who genuinely put themselves out. You have so many people, and a lot of us don't even reach out to you. I all over your pages, but that stuff comes back to you. It does.
Yeah, no, I fully believe it. I mean, I did the crowdfunder for Craving last year, and 4 years ago, I wouldn't have came close to how much I raised on that.
Wow.
And I think a good chunk of that was filmmakers and other people that felt like, oh, that, like, he's a really genuine guy, whether they care about the movie or not.
We love you.
Yeah. And I think, like I said, I think a giving attitude helps, raises all boats.
Yes.
Yeah. So, where do you see like things going for you, like from here?
The ultimate goal is I will get an Oscar and I will have an Emmy. That's what's going to happen. Because first of all, I stay prayed up. I keep saying it, and that's the truth. And my purpose in life is to help people, and that is the first thing. And I love what I do. So the ultimate goal is, I'm saying it on your show, and I'm calling it to fruition because I know it's going to happen. I will have an Emmy and I will have an Oscar. The fact that I had reached the same level as Ava DuVernay, Vince Gilligan in this competition, and they went through the same competition, and now they got these big careers. I know it's going to happen for me. So that's the end goal. In between then, I'm going to continue to just make movies, continue to work with people, continue to give back how I can. And that's it. I'm living my dream. I don't want nothing else but to make movies.
Yeah, that's why I tell people all the time. It's like we don't need to be rich. We need to make enough money to survive, but we don't need to be rich.
Yes.
And there's a class of filmmakers now where, we're like we don't have to. You don't have to be rich to make them. You don't have to be rich to fund them,
No.
and you can make a decent living off of these things. It doesn't have to
Yeah.
be like the Hollywood dream that was sold to everybody,
No.
all
Mm-mm.
these years ago.
My theme is my theme is Hollywood is where we make it, and I believe that's the truth. If whether it be the hood, whether it be in the country, whether it be no matter where it is, if you want to make a movie, and you put the time and then you can have the organizational skills you need to put it together, then you can have the success. But we have to be consistent and market, babies. If you're listening, you got to market your movie. You can't. It's just not going to happen. Facebook ads is not going to do it enough. You have to be out there on a regular basis and market your movie.
Yeah, I really like what you said at the earlier about like I get up in the morning, I do my couple of real things, but I don't live on social media.
No.
I do a
No, I
couple of
don't.
things, I put them out.
Mhm.
I'll respond to a couple of random things through the day, but
No.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't. It's so much. I I I take the time to, like, when I go on and I update and I upload my post. The first thing I see, no matter whose post it is, I like it.
Hmm.
Because I just want to put that energy out. But
Yeah, yeah,
right when I put my content out, I'm gone. Like, it's so much going on, and I'm would sponge it up and take it in, and I'm like, why am I feeling scared? Why am I, so
yeah.
agitated? I just stop. I just know. Mm-mm.
Yeah, I don't want to get on a social media tangent, but I do want to go down that a little bit because it's something that I've suffered with, especially as I've talked more and more about marketing and getting more in depth in it and getting into
Right,
groups, and it's really easy to get that addicted to it. Like you're
right.
looking, like you're to the point where you're waking up in the morning first thing, like who commented on my stuff,
Yes, yes,
and
yes,
and
yes.
that is an empty like chase. I mean.
But the bad parts about it too, like, I put stuff, I'm like, this is stupid, and then, or, oh, this was great, like, in a whole bunch of, this is amazing, and then somebody say this was the stupidest movie I ever seen. I don't care. You cannot stay on my page though, so
Right.
I'm going to delete the comment. But
Right.
I don't care. It's not going to stop me from marketing my movie, and I think that's what scares people too.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
good stuff is great, but when we put ourselves out there, expect a little bit of everything.
Yep.
Yeah, and then be okay with it. You made a movie, so let them have it.
Awesome. So as far as the movie stuff, where can people check you out and keep up with you?
I'm on all things author T Styles, or T Styles, but definitely author T Styles. So author T Styles on YouTube, T Styles on Instagram, Facebook, uh, all of it author T Styles. My movies, I have a website, Cartel Urban Cinema. And then my website is toystyles.com.
Awesome. I'll throw some links in the description. And just to close up, if you had to give some advice to some people just like starting out, like we want to make our movies, what would you say?
I would say start with whatever you have. First of all, the iPhone, definitely iPhone 14 Pro Max, is way better than some of these other cameras that was back in the day. Long as you have a story, start with the script, pick up the camera that you have, develop good organizational skills, because you're going to need to organize and have some time management in order to be able to get the thing done. But then do it. Put the movie out there. I didn't think, when my very first movies, I felt bad about them. I was like, they're not the best quality. I wanted to do more. I put them up, and single-handedly tens of thousands of dollars for those older movies that sat on YouTube with nothing.
Mm.
So you can't judge your own stuff. The chore becomes getting your movie done, putting it out there, and then evolving, and learning and growing. Don't wait until you have the whatever camera they got coming out right now and all of this gear and all of these lenses that you don't know how to use. Pick up what you have, learn on YouTube, and get started now.